Hello and welcome to the Roundtable Podcast. I am Rafi, replacing Shogun for the night, and we're going to interview Rokomo. Please check out our 4 YouTube channels, our BitChute merch store, and obviously the Roundtable Discord, where we have a podcast going on every night, active voice chats and everything. And yeah. So we're going to be interviewing Rokomo on the 2 ways to reach enlightenment, the path of devotion or the path of self-knowledge. What do you do after enlightenment while you are alive and when you are dead? So Rokomo, how are you doing, my buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking.
So where do you want to start us off?
Okay, so there's 2 paths to enlightenment. One of the paths is knowledge of self-knowledge, and this is like knowledge of consciousness. This is knowledge of knowing yourself, knowing your inner world, knowing your inner divinity, and this is like knowing the witness that is all never changing in your life. The witness never ages. It's always like witnessing the external environment. And then there's the path of devotion. So devotion can be to a deity, like you would worship like some god or goddess, or like it could be Abrahamic, not Abrahamic. It could be any kind of that deity. So yeah, um, so those are 2 paths to knowledge, to self-knowledge, to enlightenment. And so when you do this, you reach like an enlightened state of bliss when you're in devotion, and you also reach a state of bliss when you have self-knowledge. So do you have more questions?
I see. So I have a relation to Zen Buddhism, and that's my relation to enlightenment. But the image you sent me seemed to show a divide between 2 different sects of like spirituality or religion. So are you speaking of the 2 types of enlightenment, or 2 different paths of enlightenment through these different spiritual sects? Or is this 2 different types of enlightenment that one can experience?
I think the same type of enlightenment, but it is like a different way of going there. It's like a different path, so it's a different journey. And so when you're trying to like devote yourself to some deity, you're trying to constantly be thinking about them all the time. It's like love or something. So you have an intent desire to love this deity, and you get to the state of bliss when you are one with the entity, so that their the attributes become one with you. Can you hear me?
I see.
Is the mic okay?
Yeah, your mic's perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just checking. So do you have any specific questions?
Well, I guess I am curious to ask, do you consider yourself to have attained enlightenment?
It comes and goes. Like, I think my enlightenment came from path of self-knowledge. Like, I was very into consciousness and like understanding the witness, and looking at the inner world. And it comes and goes. Like you can't really know for certain who you truly are, like until you pass away, I think, because that's when all the layers of illusion are are discarded and what's real remains. So, so knowledge of self is very elusive. It you have to hold, but it comes and goes. So, what do you do after enlightenment? You can say that like the suffering disappears from your life, but because you're not resisting, your ego is not resisting the situations that you're in. But you still have to continue solving problems in your life. You still have to go to job. You still have to deal with unenlightened people. Um, so while you're alive, the enlightenment it helps reduce suffering, but the problems are still there. So the struggle is still there, but there's no.
You cut out. Are you still talking?
Yeah, yeah. What did you miss? Where did I leave off?
It was just a couple seconds ago.
Oh, so I said that when you're like enlightened, suffering still occurs. That suffering is gone, but like the struggle still continues. So you don't feel as much pain. Like your ego is not attached to the outcome, but you still have to struggle and still have to solve problems and deal with life shit.
No, I do feel that in my own experience. It is like, enlightenment's not going to put gas in your car, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
so
true.
I think, I mean, I for the people in this room and who are listening, like, would you go over your, like, kind of how you started maybe with your path of enlightenment and where it kind of brought you maybe?
Well, I always was interested in spirituality, like at a very young age, maybe when I was like 10 years old, and I just like I looked into consciousness. I used to write blogs on consciousness, and I was very much into it, but um, I kind of lost touch with my ability to write after I ended up getting medicated. So, and I lost practice of writing. So it kind of dampened my creativity when it comes to writing because my mind wasn't um, as like um, it wasn't as judgmental with the words that I wrote. So it was much easier to flow back then. So I always wrote about consciousness, and I came with many theories about consciousness, and I, I, I found out that like Hinduism was pretty close to what I thought was reality, but I never even studied Hinduism.
So, did you study Hinduism and their form of enlightenment?
Um, no, I just looked at the text and I was like, oh, this looks similar to what I found out before, and it was like it was like I came to this knowledge before and it makes sense, you know?
Mm. So you came to it and it made sense, and then we'll say you're enlightened and it comes and goes, and then
Yeah.
once you're enlightened, what do you do after your enlightenment, after your moment of revelation? What is next?
Yeah, so when you're enlightened, your life problems still occur. You still have to deal with the problems you face in life. You still have to go to bed and go to work. You still have to do things. But like when you die, you can come back as a bodhisattva, which is like um, a person, an enlightened being that helps other people raise their net, get to enlightenment. So there's that. I heard that there was something like that in Hinduism. I mean, Buddhism talks about that, Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva, the man who leaves and comes back and shares his teachings.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you
So,
think that is that the ultimate state then, or is that a desirable state to become enlightened and come back and share one's own learnings?
so that's one state. I think maybe like I don't know if it's the ultimate state. I think to leave this world is probably the ultimate state. To leave it and move on to the other states, to the other worlds, to the more heavenly planets. So, like this world is it's really like suffering and it's painful and it's not easy living here. But it's, it takes a altruistic soul to come back and try to end suffering for other beings. So it depends. Like if it's the ultimate state, it depends on the person's wish. If they want to come back, then they come back. If they don't want to come back, they don't come back.
Hmm. And what if, say, a bodhisattva does come back, and especially in the modern world, what would that coming back look like in your eyes, and what would the teachings that they would share look like?
So if they come back in the modern world, they would probably um, be they probably um, it probably a struggle for them to like to live in the modern world because like the modern world is very demanding in terms of like the struggle that we have. So they might not even know that they were enlightened in past lives, and they might lose their enlightenment and for a while, but they can always get it back because there was always teachers out there that can teach them. So everyone stands on top of other teachers, and they use each other as guides. And um, I think like it will be someone who's interested in like spirituality, and maybe someone who's a psychonaut could also be maybe enlightened being. I guess there may be different kinds of people, different different like um, different states of enlightenment. Yeah.
Yes, different states. That was something I also wanted to touch on. So you said enlightenment is a state that comes and goes. And I was wondering, what are these moments that come and go like?
Well, for me, it kind of is persisting longer and longer. Like the pain and the struggle is not as much as before, and my ego is becoming more and more detached to the outcome. So, like whenever I work, I just go through the motion of solving the problems that I face. And if something bad happens, I don't like become very emotional about it. So um, it's just like um, you, even though have some problems, you're doing a struggle. There's always there's always a persistent feeling of um, like going upwards. So there's no pain. There's no pain. There's just joy and happiness. So when you're joy and happy, it's very blissful to be joyful and happy. It's like more joyful and happy than normal. Yeah. So you experience like more extreme emotions, like when you enjoy, you feel more joy than usual.
So you say these moments, they come and go, but they get bigger and bigger each time.
Yeah.
So when you are in one of these moments and it's going on and it's happening to you currently, what is that experience like compared to when you're not in that experience?
Well, I know the experience, it would probably be like, I was like experimenting to like, um, and like fight or flight, like fight or flight. Um, you don't, you feel emotional, you feel attached to the outcome. So there's always the painful, winding feeling if you're not in the state of enlightenment. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just like you feel more pain when you're in enlightenment because the struggle hurts you. Yeah, it's like double struggle. It's like double trouble.
All right. So your last point on your the written out part for this podcast was what to do with enlightenment when you're dead. So what is your opinion around enlightenment after death?
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit on it. Like you come back as a bodhisattva, or you go into higher realms of existence. You go into spirit realms. So it's like basically what you're seeing around us is zoomed out perspective of the world. Like everything is zoomed out, and we're not seeing the inner world of the atoms and stuff. And the body is like it's a material body, and it's not the only thing that's not material is the mind. The mind is not material because we can't pinpoint where the mind is located in the body just yet, or maybe ever. Because if we try to look for consciousness and we try to go deeper and deeper into the cells, we can't find consciousness. We always find some other particle or something connecting everything else. So, so there exists worlds where it is just mind and there is no physical body, and those worlds are worlds of they're worlds of like they're hard to describe because they're just minds. They're probably like dream worlds and stuff made up of ideas and concepts. Maybe like DMT helps you reach those worlds, and maybe other psychedelics help you reach those states of worlds. Um, and yeah, that's it. Um, yeah. Do you have any questions? Maybe is it question time? Or do you have more
Sure.
questions?
We can open it up to questions if you want. Does anyone have anything they want to ask Rokomo here about enlightenment, the two types of them, uh, after enlightenment and enlightenment after death?
Hi.
I,
Hey,
Yeah, sorry, still in the boot up phase. Had family over, and that includes my uncle's pack of doggos. I walked one of them, and I got exhausted, so I seem a little. Yeah, that's why.
yeah,
So you're talking about enlightenment?
yeah.
Since I kinda didn't hear the entire thing, maybe
Yeah,
it's. Sorry about that.
it's okay.
So I guess. Sorry. Give me a think of my thoughts together.
That's okay. Do you want to? We can see if someone else has a question while you think about it.
I was getting some water. Can I get some water?
Yeah, sure.
I've been talking for a while. I just need some water and I'll bring it back.
I can. I can keep asking you questions. I've never really thought
I got a
about it.
question.
Like, sure.
So yeah, I was just wondering. So like, you had the experiences with like the atoms and stuff, and the I was wondering if there is any kind of residue where you can see that sort of still happening in a normal state. Um,
Okay, I'm
any
back. I'm
what's
back.
that?
I'm back.
Oh, okay. I just asked a question. I said, so you know how you're talking about the like atoms and things in that state? I was wondering is if there's any like hint that that is going on in a normal state where you can kind of like see the in between.
Can you see the in between in the normal state? What do you mean?
Yeah, like so you can see atoms in a certain state, right? But
Time my superstructure go burr.
is there any way that you see those things still happening in a normal state where you see it sort of hidden?
Like a non-enlightened state.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you see atoms when you're enlightened. No, I'm just saying that like when we measure things, you can see atoms when you like measure with the the zooming device. What's it called? Uh, the,
Are you talking about a DMT or a drug or
no,
something?
no, the scientists use that zooming thing, magnifying thing,
Microscope.
stethoscope,
A microscope?
Microscope.
microscope, yeah. I thought it starts with T. Yeah, so do you use that to see like smaller and smaller? I'm not saying that with enlightenment you can see between atoms. I'm not saying that. Sorry.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Like an
I'm just
electron microscope.
I'm just saying that like everything we see is like a zoom. It's like a zoomed out perspective. We see a zoomed out picture of things. We don't see the inner workings of the objects. We don't know what the things are like truly what they are. We just have words to describe them, and our consciousness is like it's just studying the stuff that we see, but it's not like everything's just defined by consensus, right?
Right. Normally, that's the
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
Water picker, did you compose your question? If not, that's okay.
I had pressed to talk on. I forgot to press the button. I was curious what are the two paths of enlightenment, and then that's devotion and self-knowledge. Got the gist
Yeah.
of seeing that.
Yeah, self-knowledge is like it's like knowledge of your inner world, knowledge of self, knowledge of consciousness, knowledge of uh, how you work, and kind of devotion is not is worshiping a deity and following some religion and performing and always thinking of that deity and so you reach bliss by always thinking by service to that deity, so by love to that deity.
I don't know why my brain immediately thought that a gross 3D analogy to how the path of self-knowledge works. Get your shit together, basically.
Yeah.
That's what roughly translates into ghetto speak. Well, I mean, more blunt language.
Yeah, so when your shit is together, you will still like you might still suffer but if your ego is attached to the outcome, but if it's not attached to the outcome, you won't have suffering, but you will still have struggle. So struggle is always there. Struggle continues forever until you leave the physical body.
This entire universe is basically the spiritual equivalent of a hardcore video game.
Yeah,
Of course, the game is going to be hard regardless. It's how you react to the to shit happening within the game.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll fish out for a final question if anyone has another one. Going once.
I have a question. If you can hear me well, just
Yeah,
a personal
I can
one
hear
for
you.
Rokomo. Rokomo, if should you gain enlightenment, and if you have the choice to decide which one you would rather work towards,
Which one?
path do you find towards enlightenment? Which path do you find more suitable towards yourself? The
Yeah,
path of knowledge or the path of devotion?
I think
Self-knowledge.
path of knowledge is kind of tough because it's very hard to understand yourself, and it takes a lot of time and effort. But the path of devotion is much easier, and it's it just requires love. So I'm trying to get to the path of devotion, but I'm struggling to get there. But hopefully, I think I just want to find love for something. So I prefer that one.
I think I might be able to explain why the path of self-knowledge is so difficult. So, using the rather blunt definition I used, for most people, how hard is it getting their shit together? All their traumas, all their internal BS, all that stuff in order, without focusing on spiritual attainment. You can kind of see how the prerequisite would be hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Like enlightenment it's very difficult if you don't have like your basic needs met. So if your basic needs are not met, then it's very difficult to find enlightenment because you're always like thinking about your paycheck and your bills and it's tough. Yeah.
I was actually thinking more about core personality flaws like being a petty bitch, for example, causing issues.
Fun. Funny.
Hey, I know it's a symptom of a much longer internal issues in many people. I'm just saying that's to give one rather blunt example.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
tendency of concepts.
Some people have like negative thought loops that are hard to break out of, like being a petty bitch. It's hard to break out of that negative thought loop sometimes.
It doesn't help that centuries, I mean decades, if not centuries long brainwashing programs have also led to a lot of what is effectively the human psychology equivalent of malware and crap stuck in the human psyche in many people.
Put in the mind. I have a question for you, Rokomo, that I think is a good thing to say near the end.
Yeah.
What is your one takeaway, your one piece of advice to somebody who wants to walk both paths, either path of enlightenment, so the path of knowledge and the path of devotion? So what would be the advice you would give to someone who wants to walk the path of knowledge? And what would be the other advice you would give to someone who wants to walk the path of devotion?
So if someone wants to walk the path of devotion, meditate and really think about like which attributes you admire most in a deity. So like try to find a deity that is suitable for your needs. And if you want to go to path of knowledge, then you want to just keep learning about yourself and keep studying consciousness. Maybe look into neuroscience and learning how the brain works and um, like how your body works, and they'll just learn the details of yourself, and you should be good to go.
I just saw the scenario where it is possible to do both simultaneously.
Yeah,
deity, it's a deity whose the form of worship is getting your shit together. Like
yeah.
the process of knowing yourself and getting your bullshit sorted out is worship.
Yeah.
It sort of sounds to me like the path of devotion is the path of, you know, meditating in a meadow all day, and the path of knowledge is like the path of like smoking DMT.
Yeah.
What I'm
Like-
getting at here is that a god whose specific edicts is roughly translates to sort your shit out.
Well, that is interesting, but this is Rokomo's podcast, but this is almost done, I think, so you can talk to him once this is over. But I'll ask you, Rokomo, do you have any final thoughts before we finish this?
Yeah, if you learn the path of devotion and you want to meditate and like really think about a deity that you want to love with all your heart, it can be Abrahamic or it can be not. It doesn't have to be. It just everyone has their own path, their own religion, their own beliefs. So just choose one that you find right for you. And if you want to go the path of self-knowledge, then you have to study consciousness and just try to understand the witness more and meditate more. Both paths require meditation, but I think you said that like maybe um, like path of devotion might be more like DMT related. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well,
Thank you.
cool. Yeah, thank you so much, Rokomo, for me and the roundtable. I think this was a fantastic podcast, and I really was interested in what you had to say.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's it. We can hop back up into the roundtable voice chat, I guess. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Rokomo. Thank you, me, for recording. And bye-bye.
Yeah.